Everyone, Mr. Smith here. We are going to be continuing with our circle geometry, and we're going to be looking at how to interpret circle graphs. So in the last series of videos, you were looking at how to find the area of a circle. So we're going to be looking and using the areas inside the circle to make a graph. First thing we're going to have to do is do a refresher on percentages to decimals, and we'll also look at fractions to decimals and percentages as well. So the first thing we're going to look at is how to convert. So we have 25% here, and we remember that percent means per hundred. Okay, so our 25% becomes 25 per 100, or 25 over 100. So we have a fraction, 25 hundredths. Okay, so 25 over 100. 25 is our numerator, hundreds are denominator. So remember, we know that in fractions, the fraction sign there means division. So you can do a long division. I'd speed it up a little bit and use your calculator. Go 25 divided by 100, see what you get, and you'll get 0.25. Now remember, we read this as 0.25 hundredths. The 5 is in the hundredths position. So that's 25 hundredths. Okay. So let's look at another one here. We have 2%, or 2 per 100. Okay. So 2 per 100, 2 divided by 100. If you do that, use your calculator, you'll see that it's 0.02. Some people will get messed up and say it's this, but this is 2/10, not 2 hundredths. Okay, so you got to make sure that that 2 is in the hundredths place. Okay, and there's a 0 in the tenths there. 87%, 87 per 100, we have 87 per 100. 87 divided by 100, you will get 0.87. See, the 7 is in the hundredths there. Okay, let's do a little bit of a refresher on finding percentages. So how do we find 75% of a number? So we'll find 75% of 360. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn that 75% into a decimal. Remember, 75 hundredths, so our 5 is in the hundredths here. So 75% turns into 0.75. And all we're going to do is we're going to take that decimal, the percentage is a decimal, and multiply it to the number we're looking for a percentage of, which is 360. So take your calculator, go 0.75 times 360, and you'll find that you get 270. So 270 is 75% of that 360. Okay, let's try another one here. Let's try this one. Here's a couple here. Let's do 50% of 90. So again, pause the video and see if you can figure this out before I show you the answer. So turn this 50% into a decimal. Okay, so that's 0.5 times 90. There you go, 0.5. So 50% of 90 is 45. Now you guys should have been able to figure out, well, what is half of 90 in just a mental method, but that's the calculation. So the 50% is 0.50 times 90 to get 45. So let's find out what is 9% of 180. So let's take our 9%, we're going to change it into a decimal. Think to yourself for a second, what's that decimal going to be? Okay, it's 9 per 100, so the 9 should be in the hundredths, and it is. Here it is right here, 9 is in the hundredths, and we're going to times that to 180, and you get 16.2. So 9% of 180 is 16.2. It'd be like saying if you're saving 9% on an article of clothing that's $180, you would save $16.20. Okay? So let's just look at a word problem here. It says 3/4 of the class competed in the math challenge. There are 32 students in the class total. So how many took part in the challenge? Okay. So the first thing we need to pull out is we have 3/4 of the class competed. So how much is 3/4? We know that's 75%. It's 3/4. Okay, 75 out of 100. Okay, or 75 cents out of $1. So we have 75% of the class competed in the math challenge, and there's 32 students. So, like we just did before, let's find out what 75% of 32 is. So again, following those steps, turn your 75% into a decimal. Okay, so 75 hundredths, 0.75, so 75 hundredths. And we're going to multiply that to the 32. So if you do that and you multiply your 0.75 times 32, you're going to find out that you have, that equals 24. So 24, let's write this in here, students took part. So there you go. So 32 students took part in the math challenge. Or sorry, 24 students took part in the math challenge. Okay? So use these skills. There's also the videos from our previous semester that shows you how to do these conversions of percentages to decimals and how to find percent of stuff. So if you need to, go back and watch those videos.